Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. Dr. Earl O'Farrill Hutchinson, my co-host. Dr. Hutchinson, as I speak, the attorney Ben Crump and National Action Network San Diego chapter leader Reverend Shane Harris holding a press conference with the family of this young man killed by police in an array of 20 bullets in Sacramento, unarmed, last Sunday. And I will be doing the eulogy at his funeral this Thursday. And it's not received the kind of national attention that I think it deserves, but it certainly had the region out there. Another example of police conduct that you have had to deal with on the West Coast and around the country as we have for the last several years. Tell us what you know.
Well, I'm going to go out and just be blunt about it, Reverend Al. I'm not going to be charitable. The Sacramento police murdered Stephon Clark. That's right, I said it, and I will say it again. The Sacramento police murdered. I'm not even going to use, I'm going to skip the niceties. They murdered 22-year-old Stephon Clark. And I have to tell the world, you can quote me on that. Here you have a young man in his grandmother's backyard on a cell phone, and I've seen this time and time again in L.A. with the LAPD and the L.A. County Sheriff's Department, the cell phone. Here we go with that again. It's dark. We thought our lives were in danger. We couldn't tell. We got a report. Turned all of it was not true. But yet and still, where's the warning? We heard a little oblique warning. Where's the cordoning off? Where's the waiting for backup? Where's all the kinds of things following correct procedure that police departments should do, and they are, at least in theory, trained to do, but certainly was absent here. What else can you call that but another police murder? Here's the other thing, Reverend Al. There's even more galling about that, if I can even use that expression. You got an African-American police chief in Sacramento who came right out and said, I wonder why the body cams weren't on, why they were turned off. Now, what does that tell you? Then you've got something else, Reverend Al, that came out. One of the shooters was an African-American, a black cop. We've got some serious issues here, not just the murder of Stephon Clark and how that's going to be handled. If there was ever anything that screamed for a prosecution, this was it. By the way, Reverend Al, instantly when that happened, we went around the Sacramento district attorney, we went around the police department, and we went right to California Attorney General. When I say we, the National Action Network, some other organizations were involved, and of course my organization. We called upon Attorney General Javier Becerra to intervene, and he's done that in other cases like San Francisco, and essentially appoint a special prosecutor to prosecute, in this case, the officers that gunned down Stephon Clark. And we're still waiting on that. And you'll see what happens today after the press conference, Reverend Al. But we've seen this pattern time and time again. And one final thing about that. Did you notice, Reverend Al, that there was even a little attempt, once again, to demonize Clark?
Oh, yeah.
The first thing that came out, he had a fire run-in with the Sacramento Police Department. Here we go again, Reverend Al, blaming the victim and setting it up that essentially he brought on his own murder and death.
Well, I think also we need to emphasize when you talk about the local police chief who is black saying why the cameras were turned off, the videotape records them saying mute the sound. Why would you mute? The whole idea of having the cameras and sound there is so everyone knows what's happening. Why would you mute the sound unless you were getting ready to discuss something that would be against your interests?
We made that point, too, when we went to Javier Becerra. This is something you need to look at, Mr. Attorney General. The other thing that came out of, there are many issues that came out of this, Reverend Al. Now that you mentioned about the body cams, we've had an issue with the LAPD and some other police departments, but especially the LAPD. They have resisted full disclosure and immediate disclosure of what happens in questionable situations, i.e. use of force, usually a shooting, and releasing body cam footage so we can judge. And they have resisted that. other departments have resisted that. I made the point a couple of days ago, actually 2 points. The Sacramento Police Department had no problem releasing at least some videotape footage instantly. Pressure there, but they did it. Why can't you? The second thing is, I've challenged police departments, I've challenged the LAPD many, many times. If you're going by the book, observing a protocol, correct procedures, the things that you like to talk about, constitutional policing, not bending the law, not doing anything out of the ordinary, I would think you'd want video cam and body cam footage released. I would think you would want that. Why would you resist that if you're not doing anything wrong and you have nothing to hide?
Now, let me also ask you about your comments around the Austin shooting.
Mm-hmm. Well, a couple of things on that.
The Austin bomber, I should say, not
Austin bomber, right. You know, Reverend Al, one thing, and I'll give some in the media this. I'll give them a little bit of prompts. I'm not going to name any names. Some actually got it this time. And what is the it? The it is, here we go again, a young white male. This time, I don't think there's any doubt, he did it. You had a bomber. You terrorized the city. You essentially had hundreds of ATF, FBI, and local police involved. And essentially you had victims in this case. You had 2 African Americans that were killed and, you know, a couple of other people that were injured, not to mention the threats. But then again, having said all of that, 2 things. You don't want to call him, and you haven't called him officially, a domestic terrorist. You have not officially labeled this an act of terrorism, nor have you even labeled it a hate crime. In fact, and kind of tap danced around that. The other thing, Reverend Al, that's even, well, as galling, look how he's characterized. One of the headlines I saw right away, an outcry from a challenged young man. Challenged? Outcry? What are you talking about? He's a murderer. He's a killer. He's a bomber. He's a terrorist.
A serial bomber.
A serial bomber. I didn't see any of him, and it went on and on the next couple of days, looking at his family, how they're grieved, how no one knew he didn't have a criminal record, how he needed help, and it was all, I mean, Reverend Al, can you ever imagine in your wildest dreams, say a Stephon Clark or any of the other African-American victims of violence, be it police or otherwise, them going on about their grieved family, about a good family, about this. And remember Trayvon Martin, oh my God, how they demonized him.
Eric Gunn.
So, and yeah. And so the other thing.
He had a record of selling, they said Eric Gunn had a record of selling Lucy's. So that gives you the right to choke him to death. I mean,
exactly.
My point is, if all they say is true,
the sob stories and sympathies when it's a young white male that terrorizes everybody. The fact is, it does create a climate, Reverend Al, for what happened in Sacramento. And by the way, just one other quick point. The young lady at the March for Our Lives, when she went on about black women that have been nameless and faceless victims of gun violence, even as she spoke, Reverend Al, we had yet another one in Elgin, Illinois. A black woman was killed in her car. And, you know, you had a posse of police around them, but they couldn't take her. Yet still, the serial bomber, if my memory serves me correct, he was not gunned down when they broke in there by the SWAT team. He killed himself.
Yeah.
So here's what we're faced with, Reverend Al.
Dr. Early Pryor Hutchinson, thank you for being with us. I'm going to take a break. The rest of the show is you and me. The callers and me at 1-877-532-5797. Shopton, keeping it real. Be right back.